Yeah.
Am I talking to you?
To answer you.
For real?
I'm expecting that GDP growth is going to slow even further.
I think this is a great time in the market, but I think once the election here is out of the way, I think next year could be a very interesting year.
It's the birth of a new cycle.
We've got to get through what the Fed is going to do with interest rates.
Commercial real estate investors clearly are going to be focusing a lot of their attention on the capital markets.
And so while rates will come down a little bit, they're not going back down to where they were back in 2020, 2021.
Historically, the US has been a very efficient market. It's scorched the earth and move forward really quickly.
And so I think that over the next 9 to 12 months, we will see more stability.
I do think that the next couple of years for the bold investors is a very opportunistic time to be invested in U.S. real estate.
This is a time of heightened risk. We have to move through that.
There's going to be more distress opportunities. There will be more interesting buying opportunities depending on each individual's circumstance. But I feel like it's going to be choppy over the next couple of quarters.
Fixed income will go up. And if that happens, we have some room to invest again.
Well, again, I think it's just a more sophisticated market, right? We used to have kind of our primary food groups, other strategies were called alternatives. I think those lines are blurring. I think there's a lot more kind of shades of gray.
But now it's pretty clear that the interest rate environment is decisively turning. We also have increasing signs of slowing in the economy.
With the upcoming election, there are some groups that are basically saying that they just want to hit the pause button.
And I don't think we'll really be able to talk much about what really is going to happen after until we see more of this thawing out.
Longer term, I think what we know is that the capital markets invariably move through cycles. Some of those constraints on the availability of capital will begin to ease.
So there's no better time to get into real estate than an environment like this.
There's nothing that I can see that would stop this cycle, going through a typical kind of curve.
And partially that's wishful thinking, but I think there's a lot of good reasons to believe that's going to happen.
Multiples and multiples of investors now pushing back into the marketplace.
I really feel like we're hitting that landing zone, and we need debt flowing to really lubricate the system.
Certainly the talk around the Fed and the central banks is an easing of their anti-inflation stance, which makes sense given that inflation has dropped to a more reasonable level.
But if you have the courage, right, and the conviction to come off the sidelines and be investing today, it is a fantastic vintage period of time. And as a long-term investor, you'll be highly successful.